Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to what I have called Workplace Lessons from Your People Advocate. This will be a series of short videos that I have put together to share the lessons that I have learned in my career in order to help people to become successful in the workplace. A little bit about myself. My name is Helen Lebone, but you can call me Miss H. I have about 20 years experience in human resources, having worked for different multinational organizations and in different industries. In these short videos, I will be covering a different topic every week. And the topic for today's video is favoritism in the workplace. As usual, please give me feedback on what I will be covering today. Does it resonate with you, or do you think I am missing something? I guess we should first acknowledge that, having a preference for some employees or even some people over others is human nature. And it can be driven by a number of things, including things like having a common background or a common education or even, a common way of thinking, or even more than that, it could be driven by having a common sense of humor. So all by itself, it is not a bad thing. When does it become a bad thing? It becomes a bad thing when that, preference then moves to favoritism, right? And that can take different forms in a team. One of the forms it can take is that you might find that a leader is always kind of publicly recognizing and praising a particular employee for small and big achievements. And it's favoritism because when others in the team achieve the same kind of results, they don't, the leader doesn't make the same kind of noise that they will make for their favored employee. Another form that it can take is that you might find that the leader is always creating better opportunities for this particular employee. And that, can be in the form of exposure in the organization, or they are always getting special projects, special high-profile projects that they're given to work on. Or it could even be, exposure to development opportunities that are not really offered to other members of the team at the same kind of rate. Another way that this favoritism, another form that this favoritism can take is that you might find that, the favored employee is not judged or measured by the same kind of rules that apply to other people. So, when this particular employee transgresses the rules, you might find that the leader becomes a little bit, ignores it, or is a bit, makes excuses for it, or is a little bit lighthearted about it. But when other members of the team, transgresses those same rules, you'll find that the leader is very quick to call that out or becomes harsh on them. And all of this put together can start to constitute favoritism in the mind of the colleagues. Sometimes this favoritism is driven by just great performance. You have that employee that always hits all the marks, exceeds expectations when they're given work to do, and just makes an immense contribution to the team. But one of the things I've found is that sometimes this kind of favoritism is not even caused by great performance. Whatever the cause, I think we can agree that favoritism is undesirable. I must also say that, one of the things that is very unsettling is to see a leader blatantly favoring a particular employee over the rest of the team. And I think what is even sad is noticing that the leader themselves is not really conscious about their actions. We all know the disadvantages of, favoritism in the workplace. One of them is, increased feelings of resentment towards the leader, and sometimes sadly towards the favored employee themselves. Another one could be, loss of respect for the leader. But for me, what is even more worrying is loss of trust in the leader. Can I really believe that you have my best interest at heart if the only person you are willing to recognize is this one? Another one is decreased motivation and productivity in the team. Because, why should I go all out and give 110%, in my role if the only person that you're ever going to recognize is this particular one? So how does one then deal with favoritism in the workplace? First and foremost, I would always say evaluate whether what you are observing is actually favoritism. Your leader might just be responding to a great performer who adds immense value in the team. And I think at that point, you might just want to compare yourself in terms of your performance, your colleagues' performance. And you can even compare yourself in terms of positive energy, which is very attractive, or even just general contribution between you and this perceived favored employee, and see if there's anything you can learn from them or not, right? Secondly, if after having done the evaluation you find that there is nothing to learn here, this is a clear case of favoritism, it might then be time to speak to the leader. I would always say, as a point of departure, speak to the leader themselves, or speak to HR about your observations. You might find that the leader is not really aware or conscious of the impact of their actions on you and the rest of the team. And by you bringing this to their attention, it actually opens their minds, and it might give them the opportunity to change their style and to become an inclusive leader. What I would always caution against is, gossiping about this, going and talking about this to other team members, or even talking about this to other colleagues, because what that can do more often than not is to kind of portray you as a negative person. You can start to be seen as a jealous colleague, or even as a troublemaker in the company. To the leaders out there, I would say your goal should always be to have a high quality relationship with every member of their team. Even with their differences, even with their different level of performance, you should have a high quality relationship with every member of your team. Check yourself often and make sure that you stay away from favoritism in your team, because the best leaders do not have favorites. The best leaders create their best teams. As usual, we've come to the end of the session. Thank you so much for the pleasure of your time. Join me again next week, where I will be talking about promoting an employee to their level of incompetence. Please give me feedback on what I have covered today. Does it resonate with you? Have I left anything? Does it make sense to you? Enjoy the rest of your day.